what's going on cat, so you have to watch out for that. So yeah, you can do that, or you can do it yourself, or if you have like a teammate, sometimes they'll have, a teammate push mid like this. However, it is dangerous. If there is an opper, if you're going for that opper, then the teammate will need to like kind of smoke lower. I think that might have messed up. I think it might be like right here. That's close. It's close. They can still see you on cat. But anyways, there's a smoke that you can throw kind of like that or something, and it'll smoke lower. Those are, some typical opping positions. Some people will will boost up onto the box, or you can have like a teammate boost you over here, or even up here, wherever you want. Those are just some typical positions to play with the op on CT side. Yeah, CT's A site. This side, don't sit there. It's just, you're just waiting to get killed there. It's like people are like, oh, I'm playing paintball. I'll just sit out here like right in between these barrels. Look, it's even perfectly cut just for me to like sit here and like peek. Oh, it looks so awesome. But truth be told, this is kind of a dumb spot. Everyone that is peeking long, let's say they're peeking long, they're sweeping right to left, and they're going to instantly get you right there. You have nowhere to run. You're out in the open. Just play a little bit more conservative on site. Don't spot like this, because they can easily just walk up this whole lane right there. You don't want that. Don't play over here. That's even worse. You can't even tell if they jump down into pit. I mean, obviously, if you take a shot and miss, and you have to reposition, okay, yeah, sure, go for it. Go for something more passive. Maybe even get back in Goose and play this spot, recognizing that they can walk up long right here, right along that line. Those are just some things to definitely consider when it comes to opping on CT side. Now, we talked about, the T's taking long. We talked about T's taking long, with like a long smoke, like a pretty easy one. Just throw it right there. And then maybe, like I said, maybe they double flash. I knew it was going to be a little bit too low. They double flash out long. They get out long, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, maybe the first guy you've seen, like, especially North American pros, lately they've been like kind of bunny hopping around the door and over here to immediately get here at blue to hold the guy in pit. Basically, if you hold this guy in pit, of course, don't be this guy where you pull out your molly, you're trying to molly the guy in pit, and then it's like it's a pointless molly because it just goes right here and he's just okay, all right, cool molly, just kind of comes back up and peeks it. Or worse, you have your molly out and you get absolutely destroyed because you were being stupid and trying to be fancy. So there's just some things to consider when it comes to. Let me get some music on. And I don't need music right now. You take long control, and your first guy goes to behind blue. Maybe while the corner is smoked. That maybe then you do try to, once you get the kill on the guy in pit, or if you've established that there's nobody in pit, you do want to establish pit control. And maybe if your opper goes with you, this is where maybe you do establish long control with the op, because you have to recognize that if you only got one pick long, or if you got no picks on long, you have to recognize how the CTs are setting up on a site. So if they're setting up on a site, knowing that you took long house and that you have the corner, you can then know in your mind, especially if you're an opper, okay, opper's probably going to be right here, spotting long, spotting the jump into pit, unless you have the corner smoked. And if you have the corner smoked, hopefully he's smart enough, but maybe he's not. He might even fall off a little bit, or just take an angle like this, where he's just spotting, the unsmoked side of pit, thinking that you're going to get greedy, you're going to pick before the smoke pops. Or maybe they have a rifler right here at Game Helper, trying to get you guys as you come across. Maybe he even mollies it, gives away his position, and that molly, as you can see, has a clear lane on the one side. So really, if they have a guy playing here, it's basically he's suiciding himself to just try to get you guys on the off chance that you don't check it. But at any upper level of play, terrorists, they are going to even pre-fire that right there. Just as they're coming up, they'll set up a crossfire with the guy that's peeking elevator right there. Set up with a crossfire with this guy who's peeking Game Helper. And speaking of elevator, and speaking of cross smokes, so I'm not a huge fan of cross smokes. I think that just like that, you can have a huge gap. And some people are like, oh, you just got to practice it. And like, okay, just keep practicing it. Or, like some people like, okay, they like throwing that smoke, which kind of ends up, somewhere in between. The point is that's a running smoke. And that these smokes require like bouncing it and stuff like that. And I don't really care for either of those. The solution I mean, it doesn't always work if you're running out 5 long. It doesn't work. But I always like the more elegant solution of smoking CT spawn. You know, and you can purposefully smoke it in a few different ways. Like if you smoke it like this, and you purposely leave like a little bit of a gap on that side to try to bait in an op shot. Because like let's say that you want to have your opper, let's say that you know that their opper's playing mid, and you do a smoke like that. Let's say you get up cat, and they're like, okay, he's up cat. Let's say the opper's still staying mid because he doesn't know what's going on. He's not going to be right there. He might be like back here. Like I said, there's a little gap on the right side. And you want to try to bait out, well, that landed more in the middle. But let's say that there's a gap on the right side and you're trying to bait out a shot. Typically, this opper is going to go double scoped because that's a long shot. He's not going to scope just like this and try to take these shots. He's going to try to get the best shot that he can because it's just a little area and he's going to want to shoot him. So, or he's going to want to get the cross. So what you typically do when you do a smoke like that is that you'll also have, typically you also throw a smoke like right there. And it's a little bit better. It'll be like kind of right there. You'll have a guy pop into CT like that, and then take this fight. And if you drop into the smoke, then you don't need the flash because you can pop into the smoke. The opper's already double scoped. You can just literally jump into the smoke, run straight forward, and then you can get the opper right there. Or if you do pop flash, you can expect that the opper will be blind and that he will descope, and that you have to then get him while he's blind. You know, if you know that the op is playing mid. And you're asking if you can queue with me tonight. Yeah, we'll see. I think that there are a couple people already waiting to queue, like for Face It in a little bit. So we'll see. I was actually considering playing some ECA tonight, so we'll end up seeing what ends up happening. But anyways, guys. So yeah, we were talking about getting this the opper, or if they have a guy playing in CT, if you think that they're putting their mid guy in CT, that he wasn't on cat and he's not opping mid, that he's in CT, which like I said happens at higher ranks, not in the lower matchmaking ranks and stuff. If you think he's playing in CT, then you will have to take this fight. You're better off blinding him. That's just again whatever you think that may be happening. All right. Yeah, we talked about... Oh, let's talk about default CT setup. Because how you'll play a default CT. Yeah, ECA for scrubs. That's right. You know what's funny is, all the rank S stuff that I see going on, like all the drama with all this rank S stuff, it makes me glad that I'm not good enough to play in rank S or anywhere near it, because these guys, ESEA, blah, blah, blah. We don't play in ESEA. We whatever. I don't know, whatever the expression is. It's like, the way that people treat rank S, they treat it as if it were professional. And I get it. It's supposed to be like, kind of like moving into professional stuff like that. But man, the mob is ruthless. Mob is ruthless. That is for sure. Especially depending on what the streamers or like the, the actual S rank players say and stuff. Yeah, rank S. I'm always seeing Steel complain about it. Both him and Dazed always complaining. I'm like, I get it. Yeah, there's some noob plays and stuff, of course. There's going to be noob plays. Everyone has off days wherever you go. Whatever rank you play at. There are pros that have off days, But the mob is ruthless. Okay, I said that you could play matchmaking with me on Friday. Okay. I don't understand what math you guys are doing in chat. Yes, and you're correct. Yeah, like FPL, where it's like invite and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure rank S is invite, and I believe people can be removed from rank S. And I think that's what happened to Bogdan. I think Bogdan was recently like voted out of rank S or something like that. I think FPL is cooler, anyways. I mean, I think that there's more prize money in FPL. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It seems like especially the Europeans like to play FPL a lot more than ESEA. But whatever. Yeah, Bogdan got removed. Exactly. Poor guy. I mean, I never watched any of his demos or anything. All that I ever hear about is people complaining about him. So, whatever. Anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, CT setup. The way that I liked playing, and this is the way that I've always played a CT setup back in my 1.6 days when I was on a team in 1.6. How we would play, this has just been forever. you play one pit, one at the corner, because long A control is very important. It's like, yes, it's like an anchor position for the terrorists. Like, yes, this is an anchor spot where they want to have map presence over here, but you also don't want to get overrun on long, and then give them just a nice big lane to run up, and then you're forced to take the fight from cat, which this is a sucky fight to take. This is an even suckier fight to take. And then basically retaking A, you then have to then retake via long, which is hard because then they're all on the site, maybe except for a lurker, or you have to retake via cat. So you definitely want to have strong long control. So typically one in pit, one at the corner. Like I said, maybe if you're having an opper play game helper, that they're opping mid, like, you know, from here, from game helper or opping cat, then maybe you have an actual rifler at goose. Or you have the rifler still holding in pit, which is, like I said, that's a sucky fight to take. Oh, okay, yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yes, you guys are still talking about facing FPL and ESEA and all that stuff, rank S. But yeah, typically that's the default setup. You know, and really it's just the two long guys have to be, you know, conjoined at the hip. You know, they got to be like two brothers because they're communicating to each other as to what they want to do. Especially if one of them wants to split off and, like, let's say if you don't want to op long and you'd rather op on cat. Like I said, if you'd rather op, you know, from the little crack here and op right there, take those shots and then fall off. Like I said, you typically want to have a rifler here with you. Or sometimes they'll even like kind of bait a shot. Like if the opper, you know, baits the shot and falls off, then you can have a rifler, you know, finish off the job. Like if you legged them, which is unlikely. Usually you either get the kill or you don't from that angle. So you can play two long, and then, you know, default setup, you know, one being on cat. And everyone's default's a little different. You know, every team has a different default setup. But, you know, playing one on cat, typically if it's not an opper, if it's a rifler, they have pretty free range if they want to play, like I said, in this corner. They want to play at this corner. They want to play a little bit aggro on cat up here. If they want to play, if they actually want to peek this, which I don't recommend unless, you know, you have someone flashing for you. You know, sometimes they like to spot lower tunnels like this, just kind of at the corner. Like if there's basically no Xbox smoke, they can probably be a little bit more liberal with how they approach this. They can really spot lower mid, or excuse me, lower B without having to worry too much about somebody walking up cat. Because the terrorists will by default expect you to have someone covering mid as an opper, or someone in CT, or someone on cat up there. So that's, you can have your cat guy playing on cat, or you can have your cat, excuse me, oop, am I out of money? What the heck? Oh, I guess I reached the max amount of ops that I can buy. There we go. Typically, you know, you can have, or a lot of people will have an op mid, and he'll opt this angle, this stupid angle. And you do want to consider, like, based on how far back you're opping, that will determine like where you're aiming. And for most of the time, it's in between these two blocks right here. Like if you're trying to, like, you know, pre-fire a little bit, you want to go, like, see, there's this box and then this box, because most people opt from like this line right here. I like to, if I'm opping mid, I like to throw them off, and I like to opt from here and like pre-fire it like that. It's a little bit harder to have to get that angle because you can already see I'm aiming too high. But for a lot of people, excuse me, you know, when they pre-fire like right around this area right here on this block, and then you can, you know, kind of scan left to right like that. And of course, if they have an opper